Hello and welcome to this journey of mastering Blender. Let's start by familiarizing ourselves with the default Blender user interface, or simply the Blender main screen. When you open Blender, you will see this pop-up menu at the center of this window. It's called the splash screen. The splash screen has options to create a new file, open a Blender file, or open the last closed file. Click anywhere outside the splash screen or simply press the escape key to close it. Now, let's take a close look at the default user interface. Blender's interface is neatly divided into three main sections: the top bar, the areas in the middle, and the status bar at the bottom. Starting with the top bar, located at the very top of the interface, we encounter several important menus. First, there is the Blender menu, which contains essential functions and settings for the application. It can also be used to open the splash screen. Next is the File menu, where you can create, open, and save projects. Then we have the Edit menu, offering tools for manipulating objects and scenes, followed by the Render menu, dedicated to rendering settings and options. Additionally, there is the Windows menu, and lastly, the Help menu, providing Blender's documentation and support. The top bar also includes tabs for switching between different workspaces. Workspaces are predefined layouts tailored to specific tasks like modeling, sculpting, UV editing, animation, rendering, and these others. These workspaces streamline your work by organizing relevant tools and settings for each task. Moving to the other parts of the Blender interface, let's explore the main area of the default workspace, which is the Layout workspace. This workspace serves as a general preview area for your scene and contains several essential editors. First and foremost, we have this grid here known as the 3D viewport. This is where the magic happens. The 3D viewport allows you to interact with your scenes, whether it's modeling, animation, or even sculpting. It provides these tools and various perspectives to manipulate objects and shapes within your scene. Next, we have this part here, known as the outliner. Think of the outliner as your scene manager. It displays all the data in your scene, such as objects, lights, camera, and more. You can use this outliner to select and deselect objects, enable or disable their selection, hide or show them, and even delete objects from the scene. Then we have this part called the Properties Editor. This editor shows and allows you to edit various properties of the active data, including the active scene and objects within it. Here you can fine-tune settings related to object properties, materials, textures, and much more. Lastly, in the areas, we have the timeline. The timeline is primarily used for manipulating keyframes in animation, It provides a visual representation of time, allowing you to set keyframes and adjust timing, and create smooth animation by interpolating between keyframes. Now let's not forget about the status bar at the bottom of Blender window. This often overlooked section displays contextual information such as keyboard shortcuts, messages, and statistical data. It's a handy tool for keeping track of what's happening within Blender as you work on your project. With a solid understanding of the default workspace and its key components, you are well equipped to dive deeper into Blender's vast array of features and functionalities. Thank you for joining me in this lecture. Let's meet in the next lecture where we shall learn how to navigate the 3D viewport.